Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution radio show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangade. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all.
Grand Rising, everybody. We are almost ready to start the best part of the show. But first, I'm just going to run my intro. So give me one moment, please. And here we go.
What if you could live to be 120 years old and remain active, healthy, alert, and vibrant? Our bodies are made up of cells that are constantly rejuvenating. So if we take proper care of ourselves, we can literally defy aging. Join us every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to learn about self-care from Susan Essentials on the Female Solution Blog Talk Radio Show. Learn how to help your body and yourself feel rejuvenated each day through proper nutrition, sleep, healthy medicine, and many unconventional methods of self-care. I'm Jodi Suson. Join me and my amazing guests by calling in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. We'll help you achieve a breakthrough in your health today.
So, Grand Rising, everybody, and welcome to the show, The Female Solution, Self-Care. So what does that really mean? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of our self? And how does that integrate? Because we need to create cellular harmony. One of the ways in which we can create cellular harmony is by understanding who we are, right? Self-awareness, and understanding when I say who we are, it's not like I'm Jodi Suson, I'm female and 5'4", right? It's, am I the divine feminine? Am I the divine masculine? Am I both? Right? How do I harmonize that? How do I make that work for me? When do I bring it out? Right? This is just one component of all the things that we need to be self-aware about. And today we're going to talk with Reverend Jenn Chung, and we are, she's going to help us better understand what this all means. And I think we might have somebody who I met on LinkedIn participate, Robert Anderson. he wrote a huge article about this, which was, I mean, I read it last night. He introduced it to me last week when I published the show. It's a really cool article. So we hope that he'll be calling into the show today. And if Robert, you're already listening, the number to call in is scrolling past slowly at the bottom. And let me see what that number is. It's I should have it memorized after all these years. 515-605-9325. And so next, I just some housekeeping. So I'm having a stress less session. It's the last one for a while. It's the last one is this Friday, and it's at 3:30. It's amazing. We're using frequency medicine, frequency technology. It's a group session, and we're combining that with essential oils and sound frequency. So if you're having stress, which I do, it's a great way to release it and give your cares to God and move forward with a beautiful day. All right, without further ado, let me bring on Jenn. Grand Rising.
Great morning.
How are you?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm really
It's good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. You look amazing.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Great that we're talking about harmonizing the divine feminine and masculine, since you're really the one who taught me about this. And I'm still teaching me about this. So I love it when I have my friends on the show that I really have to be the student. And I think, a lot of times when I'm on the show, I'm mostly the, with the guest, the teacher. But there have been a few times, even in the last month or so, where I'm really the student, and it's more fun for me, quite frankly, because I'm a lifelong learner.
Yes. Well, it's great to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I love having you here. And so, first of all, why don't you just share with people what you do, why you do it, so that we can get, we'll start there. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, my name is Jenn Silverfyre. I'm a spiritual teacher, an energetic healer, intuitive, and weaver of light. I've been doing healings and such since I was a child, really. And as I got older, I've looked into various trainings. So I've done a lot of training, and including Mayan shamanic training. So I utilize a variety of different modalities when I do healing work. I do sometimes private one-on-ones, or also I work with groups. And I'm also, bless you. And I also do, I teach classes. I give people tools to use in order to make their lives better. For example, one of the classes that I have coming up is multidimensional boundaries. So it's about different various boundary issues and giving you tools for addressing different issues with our boundaries. So as example of boundaries issues, like people who have are sensitive, who feel everything, or people who are drained of energy sometimes, or sometimes we walk into a place and I feel a little funky, those kinds of things. Having better energetic boundaries or tools will allow us to feel more safe, more secure, So I give people tools in the various classes or workshops that I do, so that you can work, and you can have a better life and not have to rely on someone else to be like, hey, I need help with so-and-so. Of course, sometimes having another person look at you, is very helpful.
Very helpful, right?
Because sometimes we don't see everything that, and if we get different perspectives, that can help us to live our more ideal life, whatever that may look like. So yeah, that's just a little bit about myself and what I do. I am in the Atlanta area, and
So you serve people here, but you also do remote? Is
I
that right?
do. I do. I actually have a lot of international clients and clients across the U.S. So I work with people all over the world, and I do get invited to teach in different parts of the world as well. Yeah, so it's it's fun. I enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, and you and I met in class because you were one of the teachers, right? And well, we'll expand upon that later, but basically, really showed up as a mirror for me, so that I could have a relationship with my sister. So I'm really grateful to you for that. So it was a defining moment in my life. That's for sure. So, so why don't we start with let's define what the divine masculine and divine feminine are. Let's just start there.
Well, why don't you tell me how you interpret it?
Well, I mean, oh no, I get to be the student. Okay.
Well, I mean, there's really no like bad answer or wrong answer necessarily, right? So
I'll tell you how I stepped into. I am the divine masculine, mostly. And actually, when I read this article by Robert Anderson, it was really phenomenal, and it helped me to see I'm very divine. I'm very, very masculine, at least according to his interpretation, and I'm still learning. So, and I'll bring up the article shortly. But for me, it shows up as, doing the right thing, being integrous, standing in my power, not giving my power away. It means sometimes, which I don't, because it can get unbalanced, is taking charge, right? And, so I have to step back and take a look at, well, am I supposed to take charge here? Is it my charge, right? Or can I step into my divine feminine and just let people do what they want to do, right? And so there's it's, for me, it's a balancing act. And one of my teachers, don't know who, suggested that I start wearing skirts and dresses, and so I did. Sorry, I need to put on a do not disturb. I'm getting text messages. Hold on a second here. There we go. All right. So much better. So, and actually that text message was perfect. I'm going to explain what it was. I have a habit that when somebody has a complaint about something, to provide a solution, which is a very masculine thing. Masculine, they like to provide solutions and fix things, and that's who I am. And so this guy was texting me and telling me how this was yesterday and this morning. Let me just see this. So this person says to me, well, I have annual doctors all this week. I think I have like 6 doctors I have to make happy. He says retirement means the doctors can schedule visits every 4 weeks, whether I need them or not. And to me, that sounded like somebody who was being powered over to do something that he didn't want to do to begin with. And the answer back was, I shared that, some opportunities both on the Western side and on the Eastern side, that maybe he doesn't have to go to doctors all the time, because it felt like a forced situation. And I explained that there was a friend of mine who's a servant leader, works at this Western medical clinic, and they focus on preventive care, right? And Because I appreciate your interest in my health, but I'm just fine. And I'm like, well, it didn't sound, I'm like, okay, got the message, right? It didn't sound fine because you sound like you're being powered over and you have to go like every 4 weeks to see these doctors. And so my opportunity in a divine masculine state is to say, until that person asks for help, don't offer it, right? Like, don't be the divine masculine in that instance. Like, that's my assessment of myself. But go ahead. So that's how I look at the divine masculine and feminine. I don't really have I'm not educated enough to teach or even to give more of a definition than that.
Well, in my opinion, according to me, we're all divine, and we all have both masculine and feminine aspects of ourselves. So when we're talking about, well, what does that mean? If as a woman, that simply means that I'm only divine feminine and not divinely masculine, and the answer is actually no, because we actually have both aspects. So maybe it'll help a little bit to talk about duality. So we're in this human existence, this game that we're playing, where there's specific rules here to be on Earth. And one of them that we've played out for quite a while is the duality of male and female. And we also have on that duality, on the male side, there'd be things like good, and then the female side, evil, or the sun, the moon, yang, yin, right, left. These are different aspects. And if we get into more of it, then you had mentioned, for example, action, the doing, the relaxing is on the feminine side, or strength, courage would be considered on the masculine side, and on the feminine side might be like vulnerability, gentleness. So you get a sense of which side is which. Now, we both actually have both. There's sometimes, depending on, for example, let me give you an example. Let's say I need to make a decision. I'm standing in a supermarket and I'm looking at a whole bunch of teas. And I'm like, which tea do I choose? Now, we're actually constantly switching between one and another. The decision-making aspect is actually masculine. So I'm looking at these teas. If I feel like, I don't know, there's so many teas, I can't decide, like which one do I choose? I'm actually more on the feminine side. I'm like taking in all the different types and then just, like absorbing this, like, there's like this flavor and that flavor. And it's like, there's so many possibilities. So I'm more on the feminine side. In order for me to choose a tea, I actually have to shift over just a little bit to the masculine side to make that decision, like, that's the one. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And we actually do this daily in our lives. And it's not something we really think about. If I need to sit down and write a whole bunch of emails and do a bunch of work, I need to get on my masculine side. My feminine side, if I, when I am too much on my masculine, I'm doing, and, I get tired, I get stressed, then it's like, I need to, get back a little bit into my feminine and just relax a little bit, breathe a little bit, what they say, slow down and smell the flowers kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about harmonizing, it isn't to say like, one side is better than the other. It's like looking within ourselves, recognizing both aspects of the divine that we are, and start noticing, okay, I'm being more masculine today, or I'm being more feminine today, and noticing, and just working, utilizing and both aspects, embracing both aspects of ourselves. Neither one is better than the other. We need both. And as we, the 21st century, things are shifting, we're in the vibration of 2, which is all about love and harmony, right? And
we're in a Venus retrograde.
yes. so there's like energies of the divine feminine that is permeating, society in the world now, where it is, there's much more love in the world, and we're shifting towards more love, more harmony, and embracing both aspects of ourselves. And that really is what healing is about, becoming whole, and not separating one and the other, or saying this, I'm too masculine, oh, I'm too feminine. No, it's actually, we're both. And how can we live with both in harmony, in cooperation within ourselves, and sharing that aspect of ourselves with the world?
Yeah, and I would also, I would agree with that and say, so I'm married, and I'm more the divine masculine. He leans more the divine feminine, right? And by the, like Jenn said, we encompass both. But when we know that I can pull out my divine masculine more often and easier than he can, I may get sent in to handle or negotiate one situation, but when it calls for the divine masculine, and then there are other times where it calls for the divine feminine, he has to go in and he has to manage it. And so, but that's how it's been in the past. Now we've both learned from each other. And so I know how to pull out the divine feminine better than I did in the past. He knows how to pull out his divine masculine better than he did in the past. And so we can learn from our partners and, do all of that. But what I'll say is that I stepped into the divine masculine because, I became a bodybuilder as a kid. At age 14, I started lifting weights. Well, because I was being beaten up at home, right? So I was forced into stepping into my divine masculine, learning how to step into my power quickly and not be powered over, not be the receiver all the time of everything and anything, right? Which can be the negative part of the divine feminine. Doesn't have to be that way, by the way. It's just how it showed up for me as a child and as a young teen. Would you like to give examples about where people might see their divine masculine show up or divine feminine show up?
Well, I think if you like earlier, I gave examples of what's considered masculine, what's considered feminine. If you kind of just like think for yourself, or making a list of, okay, what's considered feminine, what's considered masculine, then you'll be able to see aspects of yourselves. For example, when I wear pants, I'm definitely more in a masculine, compared to like if I wearing a skirt, I'm accessing certain feminine energies. That could be a simple example, and what, like you're saying, there's certain traits that. Bless you. So there's,
for someone, maybe even myself, I don't know. That's,
yeah, that, so when we look at ourselves, like typically, if you imagine, there's certain stereotypes of what masculine and feminine are, definitely, like that whole bodybuilding example, working out, that's like would be considered more masculine, whereas like weight training or fighting sports, right? And then on the feminine side, in terms of like exercise or something, then maybe something more like Pilates or yoga would be considered a more feminine, although even within
Never did.
right. So even within both, there's like the energies of masculine and feminine, and
Well, actually, the funny thing is, prior to becoming a bodybuilder, I was doing a ton of dance, right? And so I stepped out of dance and into muscular, like don't F with me. For those of you who are not watching and listening, I have two buttons. One is a staple button. It's the easy button, right?
That was easy.
Right. And then I had this other button that starts with an F and ends in a fire truck. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to press the button, but it's really funny and it makes me laugh a lot. But basically, I had that "don't fire truck with me" mentality. So, inspired by Susan Rossi, by the way, the easy.
Yes. Right. So actually within all the different things that we do, there are components of feminine and masculine, and we kind of switch between both. Now, is it Naima right here has a question?
Naima. So she says, I have 2 male friends. So Naima, first of all, thank you for being here. She is our executive producer for the Female Solution, the Blog Talk Radio. And she says, I have 2 male friends who recently had an argument where they both said hurtful things to each other. Were they both in the masculine side or the feminine side? Good question.
I would say probably that they were both on the masculine side. On the masculine side, you have things like confrontation, conflict, the whole arguing side. So that's my opinion, that just as from the very little information that I have, conflict is typically a masculine energy. And
interesting. So what about people who have conflict avoidance?
Well, then that would be a little bit more on feminine, right? There's the avoidance aspect, it, is more feminine. And conflict, the confront is, much more forward, and it's much more masculine in terms of energy.
And it's interesting, because I'm going to use my husband and I as an example. So he avoids confrontation because, my opinion, doesn't mean it's true, is that he feels confrontation has a negative connotation to it. I, on the other hand, love confrontation because I believe it brings resolution, clarity, opens up more dialogue, and releases energies and usually pent up energies that you don't need because we have misunderstandings, right? And so so it's interesting. And I think that's mostly because he's a very masculine person, right? So I don't want people to think that I want to bring up this article because I want people to understand something about the divine masculine and divine feminine, according to this man, Robert Anderson. Okay. So let me go back here because I think this is interesting. So he wrote this article on LinkedIn on the 26th when he published it. And I think I published our show like maybe around the same time. Okay. And so he explains the divine masculine and feminine energies. And he says they're spiritual concepts that transcend gender and relate to the balance and interplay of certain qualities and attributes within each individual and the collective consciousness. And he says the masculine represents such as strength, logic, action, protection, assertiveness, which, Andrew has all of that. So I want people to understand that my husband, even though I feel like he's the divine feminine and I'm the divine masculine, he has strength, he has logic, he has action, protection, and assertiveness. It embodies the qualities of being focused, purpose-driven, he's all that, and providing a stable foundation. It's not about dominance or control, but rather about healthy expressions of power and leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Now the divine feminine, he says, and again, this is Robert Anderson, so you can follow him on LinkedIn. And he says, the divine feminine, on the other hand, encompasses qualities like nurturing, intuition, compassion, receptivity, and creativity, and it embodies the energies of empathy, emotional intelligence, and the ability to hold space for others. So my husband has all of that too, and I have both of those as well. He says it's not about passivity, but rather about the power of vulnerability, which I'm not always, empathy, and interconnectedness. And he says they are present in all individuals, which is what you're saying, Jenn,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of gender. And finding balance between them is essential for holistic well-being and spiritual growth. And cultivating these energies within ourselves and acknowledging them in others leads to harmonious and integrated approach to life and relationships. So when you go back to, I'm just going to put this article in the thread, when you go back to the concept and thought form that I'm saying my husband's the divine feminine, it means he knows how to access that in a stronger way than I do right now until we both find balance. And I am still a work in progress in learning how to balance my divine feminine. I mean, I had to literally change. I was definitely divine feminine when I was born into this world. I was dancing, I was singing, but it was quashed, right? And instead of becoming more of the feminine, I said, no, thank you. I'll show you, right? That was just my reaction to it. I have self-awareness about it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think the purpose of this show is to help people understand who they are, right? Have self-awareness, decide what parts work when, not that you have to get rid of them. Where do you insert your divine feminine? Where do you insert your divine masculine? How does it play? Where does it benefit you to pull one part out versus the other? Would you agree, Jenn?
Well, there's that aspect, and then also recognizing that for example, like what Robert Anderson is saying, it's like there's actually within, for example, masculine traits, there could be the positive expression of those traits or the negative expression of those traits, right? So someone who is assertive, they could be assertive in a healthy way versus being controlling and forcing his way over other people, right? So they're both ways of assertion. It's all masculine, and yet at the same time, there's different ways of expressing those aspects. So like vulnerability, an expression of vulnerability is being open, being revealing of one's true self, for example, as opposed to being a victim, and vulnerable in that way. So there's different aspects within even, the masculine or the feminine that it's about how we are expressing ourselves in the most divine way possible, that essentially makes our life easier, and and that we are expressing the truth of who we are. And there, like I said, we've got both aspects. Maybe right now you express more of your masculinity, your masculine energies in some situations, and in other situations you get to express your more feminine side. And the same with Andrew, myself, it's just everybody, and it's all actually choice too. How do I wish to express my femininity? Do I wish to express my feminine aspect as like weak and unable to do things, everybody take care of me? Or can I express my femininity with strength, with balance, with peaceful, so there's like different ways of how I can express myself.
Yeah, we're going to go to commercial, and I'm going to share a story about a doctor that I trained under in Illinois. And his name is Dr. Danny McLean. And he is both clearly divine masculine and divine feminine, right? And how I feel he leveraged his, both of those to live by his highest values, right? So we'll go to a quick commercial and we'll come right back. Thank you for being here.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self Care with Jodi Suson. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Well-Being with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Jana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution.
Hi everybody, Jodi Suson with Suson Essentials, coming live to you here from Schaumburg, Illinois. We are going to test the tap water and the ProPure water filtration system today. The ProPure water filtration system takes out the VOCs, it takes out fluoride, it takes out chlorine, it takes out chromium 3 and 6, all the prescriptions, and I'm just going to do a quick demonstration to show you that when you pull all that stuff out, it also raises, in addition to doing that, it raises the water to an alkaline state. Cancer cannot live in your body when it's in an alkaline state. So let's get started. So we have to put in, so here's the tap water. Okay. Turn this on. This is ProPure water, which, by the way, it tastes delicious too. And we need 10 teaspoons. You need 1.7 ounces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to clean this off with the clean water so I don't contaminate it. Well, it's less contaminated, right? Because it's still contaminated. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn off that noise. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so what we're looking for, this, it got wet, of course, right? But our water's supposed to be a 7. That's how it's supposed to come out of a tap. And then when it's in an alkaline state, it's healthier for you. And then it, goes from an 8 or above. So this requires that I put in 2 to 3 drops. So we're going to do 1, 2, not easy to get it out, 3. And we're using pH Perfect. That's the testing system we're using. 1, 2, 3. There we go. We're going to stir them both. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So this is a 7. This is clearly an 8. It's actually borderline 8.5. So again, we're taking out the VOCs. We're taking out the pharmaceuticals, chlorine, fluoride, all the other icky stuff that's in there, chromium 3 and 6. Your body cannot feed cancer when it's in an alkaline state. This is an inexpensive system. When you put it for the countertop model, we also have whole house models. We also have stuff for the refrigerator. give me a call, Jodi Suson, 847-738-0242, or email.
All right. It's a longer commercial, but I decided to start living more by my highest values. There's so many different products that I offer for people to reclaim their health. And there is one product I have. Well, they're all amazing, right? But the one thing that if you're not doing, you need to do is filter your water. Because when you take a look at all the toxins in your water, and it's not expensive to do, you just go to the ewg.org, you plug in your zip code, and they'll show you all the contaminants that are in your water. And they all end up causing cancer, right? And they're not being filtered out. People think that their tap water is filtered. It's not. And, there's whole house. So anyways, the point is that we're being medicated against our consent. It's really just that simple. And people are just unaware. So I'm doing everything I can now. I'm doing this big, huge push to help people get clean water, not only for their tap, but for their shower. Because when you're showering, your skin, it doesn't have a filter, right? And so your bloodstream. So I know it's a long commercial, but I don't care because hopefully I saved one life today, like that. So there you go.
Now, were you more in your divine feminine or masculine right there?
Oh, absolutely masculine. Absolutely masculine. And today I was going to say, you said when you're wearing pants, you're more in the masculine. What I decided to do was wear blue jeans and flowers. So that I could balance it out all day. I had intention behind it.
Yes.
So yeah, no, definitely divine masculine. I'm like, boom, 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 right? No, I get who I am. Trust me. It's not like it passes me by. I know. So you got to laugh about it.
Yeah, it's definitely about having that awareness, right? And it's living your life with intention, and intention is so important, and it sets the energy for everything we do, our whole life, rather than being shuffled around. Setting our intention, centers us. It gets us to where we wish to go, and also it affects the world and the people around us.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was at this networking group last week, and they said, they were asking about maybe what our mantras were or something. And that's what I said, living life with, on purpose, right? Not like willy-nilly, but on purpose. What are you setting out to do today? What's your intention? How are you planning on getting there? Right. A man who I know, who I studied under for many years, Dr. Danny McLean out of Libertyville, Illinois. I want to use him as an example because it's perfect. He is a divine masculine in some ways because he bench presses, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 pounds. Huge, right? And he's just big, bulky, and healthy, right? And he sews bras, right? And so he's he's a chiropractor, he's an acupuncturist, he's a massage therapist, he does NLP, hypnosis, he has all that, and he sews, he cooks, writes poetry, So my point being is we can breathe into both, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's really a beautiful thing. And I love what you said, Jen. It's about really being aware of what part of us is showing up and when and why. And I would say, is it healthy? And I'm not saying it's not healthy to be both. It is healthy, but is it healthy the way it's showing up in your world? You want to talk about that?
We kind of touched on it a bit earlier, right? Where there's the different expressions of the different energies. So the example I'd given before was a victim, or being vulnerable without being a victim. And it's like how we're expressing them makes a difference.
Yeah, I think that victim thing is a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you give an example of someone who decides to show up as a victim, right? Versus, go ahead. I would love to hear an example.
Well, I have to think of an example first. Let me see. Okay, so if someone is in the victim energy, then like if I was in the victim energy, then I might say something like, oh my gosh, why is the whole world against me? All bad things just keep on happening to me, or this person is doing something to me, they're such a jerk. I might say those kinds of things where it's all about external in, that it's being forced upon me, and I'm in that like boo-hoo, like I'm so weak and things are just done to me. Whereas a difference would be acknowledging that, okay, I'm making certain choices and I'm allowing things to happen to me, that's a little different, where it's like I'm acknowledging, actually, I do create my reality, and by the choices that I'm making, I'm allowing certain things. And so that recognition or that acknowledgement shifts someone out of that victim mode. And maybe certain things are still happening. However, there's awareness of it. And then there's the choice of, okay, I can continue to allow this to happen. And I'm aware of it. And there's a shift that happens there, like you mentioned earlier, you had someone saying, oh, I'm seeing a doctor. I have to see these doctors every week.
It sounded like a victim.
And
they give away their power, right?
In a certain ways, it's their choice. They're choosing. So we always have a choice. And that's like that acknowledgement of choice. Am I choosing to allow something, or I'm choosing to participate in this, or I can choose something else. And that's empowering, when we recognize choices that we make, like, for example, someone says something rude to me, and they're being very disrespectful. I have a choice. Do I react to that? Or do I respond to that? And those are very different things. So my reaction could be like, like, hey, you blah, 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 and just fight. Or I could be like, hey man, it's okay. Just be cool. So it's like, even on the inside, maybe I don't say anything, but I react to it with like, I'm like irked, or it's like, I respond to it in a more neutral. Like maybe I recognize that they're being moody because something happened, and I'm choosing to respond rather than react. Like if I'm driving on the freeway, someone cuts me off, it's like, what is my reaction? Do I react to it and go like, or it's like, am I centered? Am I, and I'm like, okay, it's like, oh, they're cutting me off is not about me. It's about them. Maybe they're in a hurry, or maybe, whatever it is, so it's like, and we both have different ways of, we all have different ways of, responding, and there's masculine and feminine, I'm getting a little bit lost with different stuff. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah. I mean, the key concept of shifting our mindset around this is something happening to you or for you, right? And so if it keeps on happening to me, bringing on that victim mindset, and if it's to you, you can go in victim mode. But if it's for you, you can shift and go, okay, what is the universe trying to teach me right now? What's the lesson, right? So there's that.
And that's definitely about perspective. So I can look at everything that happens to me, whether positive or negative, according to me, because it's always according to our own opinions, right? Whether something is done to me, then it puts me in like a disempowered position, or for me, then, okay, what am I to learn about a situation?
So if I'm saying it's done to me, is that automatically putting me in the feminine energy or not? I don't know.
It could be. It depends. My initial response is yes. However, it's sort of like,
wait,
it's more how it's what's going on.
Oh my God. So, I'm like, I hear all this pitter patter, right? Like, what's going on? And I've been wearing my bod today. I've had some trauma in the last year, right? And actually since I moved to Georgia, and I started looking at the list, I'm like, Jodi, you've got PTSD again, and you need to be wearing this 24/7 right now. So, but I didn't want to have it necessarily on the show. So I plugged it in, right? And I have it on my thigh. And I hear this little pitter patter, and I feel the vibration go away because, I'm kind of sensitive that way. So this girl right here decides to come. She pitter patters, walks upstairs, pulls this out. She pulls this out. And I'm like, and I just get laughing because, like, she's all up in my business. And I love it.
Well, yeah. So that as an example, that was your response, right? And where someone else might, if they're not centered or misaligned, maybe there is like, hey, what are you doing? Stop messing with my stuff.
She's all in my business. I bring her into. She's my girl, and so as such, she gets to be all up in my business. So.
Yes. Good to see you too. Good to see you.
Yeah, so you're saying hi to Auntie Jenn? Yeah. So you want to tell me why you pulled the bod out of the? Because you could. She goes, because I could. That's hilarious. You are so funny. She's really funny. She is so. She's the smartest flipping soul, right? So we have, as you know, you've been to our home. There's an enclosed porch on the main level, and we recently reorganized that enclosed porch, and so there's like this baker's rack that we have their toys on, that used to sit on the far side of the porch. Well, now it's up against the window that comes into the home. And, most people have like doggy doors, right? Where, the dog can come in and out. Well, we just kind of opened up that window and the birds can come in and out. So, and I trained them, I showed them, look, if you want to come in, whatever, because it gets too hot or whatever, you need something, this is where you come in. Well, I accidentally yesterday when I was on the phone, had that window closed, and she takes her beak. She's like, I want in. And I'm like, you were so flippin' smart. I trained you to use that doggy or birdie door, and here you are, like not even a half a day later using your tools. I love you. Yes, I love you. Mwah. So, yeah, she's so smart. She's like, I don't care who people think. People think birds they call them bird brains. No. You want a bird brain. Just saying. Good thing. Sorry. You... So, anyways, completely derailed the show. Please excuse me. Go back to what you were saying, and I will stop being distracted by my beautiful girl. Mwah. So,
what were we saying?
we were talking about the difference between responding, reacting. I actually was active listening. You were talking about like you being on the road and everything with the car. So, go ahead.
Well, you know,
active listening.
it always, it varies, because we go through waves, throughout the day. There's up moments, down moments, and the up and downs don't necessarily have to be extreme. They could be little shifts where there's certain moments where I'm more centered, where I'm more grounded, I'm more connected with my higher self. And then, something like getting cut off, by someone on the freeway, it's like, it's not a big deal. I'm aligned, it's not about me. It's, and then, however, if I am, off balance and things are like, I'm not in alignment, then it could be a little bit more challenging where it's like, like, hey, that person's being reckless, and I mean, being like negative about it. And that's okay. We're always looking to, get in center, get aligned with ourselves, right? And then when we are centered, we're balanced. And we do have to shift, slightly off balance to the left or the right in order to move in life. It's like walking. If we're always centered and we completely in the middle all the time, we actually won't move. When we walk, we actually have to shift our weight left and right in order to move. And that's that whole feminine and masculine. We actually have to move between the masculine and the feminine in order to even move in life.
And I would say, there was something I was going to say about that. I'm going to sneeze again. I'm clearing for somebody. So I'm not clearing for myself, and I'm not clearing for you, who am I? I'm clearing for somebody. Oh, Naima, I'm clearing for you. Whatever this is, I'm clearing for you, Dolly. Let me go back to Vietta's comment, and then we'll circle back. She says, Grand Rising, beautiful queens. Victim mind usually thinks of things happening to them versus being aware of the lessons in everything. So I completely agree. We have this opportunity. I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away right now, okay, which I try to encourage people to do and encourage myself to do, right, is to be self-aware. And I may get pissy for the moment and I'll catch myself. I go, okay, what's the lesson, right? So what I'm saying is that if you get pissed at something, you can be pissed but give it away really fast, catch yourself, give it to God. And then say, okay, what's the lesson? What am I supposed to be aware of? Because I think the important lesson here is the awareness around the energy. What's the energy you're bringing and how do you harmonize it, like we're saying? And when we can be aware of how we feel, like, to me, that's so critical, because I feel that so many people, I mean, I'll put myself in that category. We were trained since we were children to not feel our feelings, right? And if we're being told we're not allowed to feel our feelings and like that, then how the heck are we supposed to be aware about how we feel? Because we're being trained already to quash them.
It's like a consciousness thing, and a conscious choice, right? So sometimes the whole feeling thing, yes, we're taught not to by example or being literally told, or sometimes as children, we learn to quash our own feelings. We learn to shut ourselves down.
Mhm.
That awareness, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to be aware constantly all the time of like all my lessons in life. There's a lot of things happening, and I mean,
Well, that's the key one.
What's that?
How about the key lessons, right?
Well, the way I kind of tend to think about it is that when we go through something that is very emotional, or something that's very maybe challenging, those are the times when I have to look at, what am I meant to learn from this? For example, if I have a friend that gets mad at me, and I'm feeling like, oh, my friend doesn't, she has no right to be mad at me. I didn't do anything to her. She's just being mad so then it's like, well, why did I create this? What am I supposed to learn from this disharmony? Even if it was for that moment, because maybe I'm feeling like, hey, that's unfair that she's mad at me for something I didn't even do, right? Where she's mad at me because she thinks I did something. So we both have different perspectives. However, for me, it's like, okay, what am I supposed to get from this situation? Is it to be more understanding of other people, or is it that I'm not recognizing when I inadvertently do something, so I get to examine it. Or, for example, another example might be something like abuse. If I have someone like yelling at me, okay, and I get very emotional. I'm just like, I'm like, because someone's yelling at me, maybe in that moment I can't recognize or examine what's going on. I'm just feeling like very emotional because I'm being yelled at. However, afterwards, when I am more centered, I might be able to look at, okay, what within myself created the situation? Do I have certain victim energies within myself that's like drawing in someone to be yelling at me? Or is it like, am I processing something? Or, just what within myself am I supposed to recognize and stop the disrespect? Because maybe in the past I've been a pushover and I don't, speak up when someone's being disrespectful. And so maybe the lesson is about self-love, and self-respect. Wait, this is unacceptable behavior. So it's like there's various different aspects, and we can only know when we examine ourselves. And change happens when we start to have awareness of what's going on in my life. If I don't know and I just, go about my day, and I don't set my intentions and things just happen, it's like, I can live like that, sure. However, when I start to notice things, okay, is this wait, every once in a while I get people like saying disrespectful things to me, then, oh, this is a pattern. If it's so it's like about recognition and awareness. And when we have that recognition or awareness, we can make a choice to change, or we can remove things that are negative to our lives, and we can shift and invite things that are more in line with what we desire in life.
Yeah, I mean, spot on. I mean, we need to shift so we can align with our highest values, right? So we're going to go to a quick commercial. It's 9:00 or a little bit after. And then we're going to hear from Naima and Vieta, who both have some things to share. And what I'm going to share is a new product that we have out. It's called the Super Patch, and it's really kind of cool. I will just tell you that, let me just see if I can get this going.
Business needs to show up. Vistaprint can print it, like on Windows.
Okay, so we skipped the ad.
Hi, everyone.
So this is like a minute and a half. And I want to tell you, this is the coolest thing on the planet. So once you get your water filters, Figel is laughing at me. Like, we have different patches and there's no ingredients, guys. And there's no drugs, no ingredients. What it is, it's a code. And the code sends a signal to the brain. And I will tell you a couple stories about what this did, but it's just the coolest thing. So give me a minute, because we're having amazing results for our friends here in Georgia and in Illinois, and we're having amazing results in our own household. So without further ado, let me run that.
It's Jay with Super Patch. I hope everyone's having a great day. People are always asking me, Jay, how do these super patches work? So today I'm going to give you guys a high-level explanation. So first things first, every physical, emotional, psychological function has a corresponding neurocode in our brains. And these neurocodes, which are just messages, sometimes get stuck or damaged for 1,000,001 reasons, but that leads to poor health, poor wellness, and even poor performance. So after 12 and a half years of research at Super Patch, we actually decoded these messages. We decoded the neural code that can help and control the neurofunction of physical, emotional, and psychological functions. So every single super patch has a pattern and ridges in it. And when these ridges come in contact with our skin, the patch uses the receptors in and on our skin to send that message to our brain. And the brain decodes it. So every single super patch is generating a very specific signal that's responsible for a physical, emotional, or psychological function. And that's how the super patches work. So all 8 super patches have their unique QR code that's sending a unique message that our brain decodes. And that's why we can help with so many wellness, performance benefits that people are seeing. So till next time, you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Okay. So here's the story. I have a friend who used to have, let's say, an addiction to alcohol, right? Okay. And so, Jenn, why don't you, I just got your message. So why don't you go ahead and take a quick pause and I'll explain what happened with this super patch. Is that cool?
Mhm.
So I'll put you in the back room. All right. So I have a friend who had an addiction to alcohol. And then when that person got off of alcohol, that person had addiction to bad behaviors. And so we found this patch, and it's called Kick It. And the Kick It patch, and I don't know where it's at right now, but they all come, in these, different patch: pain, sleep, mobility, which is liberty, victory, which is for having more activity, ignite for metabolism, focus, like we have it all. My favorite one is peace, because I have anxiety. But so when we have, what this person did is they weren't able to pause before they spoke. And so the person started using the Kick It patch, which is kicking a behavior to the curb. And so when they kick the behavior to the curb, when they put the patch on, they started pausing before they started speaking. And it shifted their relationships with themselves and with others. It was amazing. And when I put on the peace patch, my anxiety started to subside. I didn't realize, but with what happened to me when I moved here to Georgia, and all of our belongings were hijacked to New Jersey, And coupled with all the things that happened to me when we finally found a place to live and being overexposed to radiation and all the traumas, I actually have PTSD. So my stress and anxiety levels were over the top to the point where I stopped functioning. I put on the peace patch and I put on the joy patch, which I think, yeah, here's the joy patch. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling less stress, more joy. Now, did my problems go away? No. How I reacted or responded to my problems is what stepped in. So how am I now, instead of reacting to things, I am now responding to things. So I would just say that these are amazing ways to manage how your brain is reacting or responding to the stimuli around you. All right. So with that, I'm going to bring back Jenn, and then we're going to answer questions and receive what Naima and Vieta have to say. So welcome back. So we're going to go back and talk about what Naima had to say. So Naima, again, thank you for being here. She says, a male friend of mine who has a son told him never to hit a girl. And a little girl in his 3rd grade class hit him. The father said, don't hit her back, tell the teacher. The mother said, no, hit her back or she'll keep bullying you. The little girl is bigger than him. Was the father being feminine and the mother being masculine? I'll let you go first.
Well, in my opinion, it could be both. Mm-hmm. Because maybe the mother's response of saying hit her back is like that's the aggression of like, well, you should just stand up. However, maybe the father's don't hit her back has that masculine aspect too, where it's about a different masculine energy of like standing up for yourself without getting into violence. Not just a reactive, but a responsive. I'm choosing, a different way to respond to an action rather than violence, which is, so they could be that they're both being in masculine, not necessarily that not hitting, is feminine per se. And it depends on the child too, and how the child actually interacts. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. And then my response to this is that, well, it's multifold. First, I think both of them have a programmed belief system, right? Mm-hmm. Secondly, I agree with the father. You don't hit her back, and not because she's a female, but you just don't hit back. Right. Like I used to have somebody who used to try to hit me all the time in high school. And instead of hitting that person back, because I had to ride the bus with her for like 10 minutes, and she would try to beat me up. But I was actually stronger than her because I was bodybuilding by that time. So what I did is I held her hands behind her back until I got off the bus. And then I walked her and me to the front of the bus, and I turned her around and I walked off the bus. So I didn't cause any harm to her. I wasn't like holding her like to restrain and hurt and cause harm. I was just keeping myself out of harm's way so that she couldn't hurt me. Eventually, she just stopped trying to beat me up, right? Because she got that I'm not going to engage in a lower vibration behavior, right? And this was at like 13 or 14 years old. So I think that's a reaction if he hits back, whether she's a girl or a boy. Mm-hmm. And so I think that we can teach our children better. The mother who said no hit her back. That's a reaction, and she may or may not keep. Maybe you can just have a completely different answer, like hold their, grab their wrists, walk him to the principal, walk the child to the hitting child to the principal's office and say, this person's hitting me, or go get a teacher and say this, I think, you not even tell the teacher, you bring the teacher out, right? This person's hitting me now. Take action. I think we have to call people out. We don't have to do back to them. We have to call people out on their behaviors. Not always, but when those behaviors are directly causing us harm, we need to call them out on their behaviors and say, this is not okay.
Yeah. So that what you're saying, Jodi, like calling someone out on their behavior and the way you do it, actually, so calling someone out, that could be like a masculine energy, whereas calling someone out by yelling at them, that's the negative form of a masculine. Does that make sense? So they're in both ways, or both are calling someone out. However, one has a more positive or more higher vibrational energy than the other. So that even within the way we do things, they can both be masculine energies, or masculine responses, and yet one is a higher vibration and one is a more we can say, quote unquote, more positive aspect, as opposed to a negative aspect of the same action.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is that you have to ask yourself, what's the goal? What's the solution that you're looking for? And are you going to get that solution by that next step that you take in response or reaction?
Mm-hmm. And then sometimes, when we're in it, like something that's highly charged, there's lots of emotions going around. Maybe in that moment we don't recognize it because we're in it, and we're emotional too. And then it's more thinking back on it, looking back and reflecting on it to know, okay, how was my reaction? How was my response? And was that in line with how I wish to live my life? So then if we start paying attention, then there's a possibility of recognizing in the future, okay, I didn't like last time when someone said something disrespectful and I blew up at them, because I like to have more harmony in my life. Maybe that's a goal of mine, to have more peace and harmony in my life. So I didn't like that. I blew up at someone when they said something I didn't like. So next time when I recognize, oh, this person is saying something I don't like, I get to choose, okay, last time I just blew up, but then this time I'm going to breathe, and calm down first before yelling as my automatic reaction, and then that changes my life. However, I have to have that awareness first, and that's so important.
It's critically important. So, let me see how much I want to share about this. Hold on a second. So I'm just going to be transparent about it. My husband and I got into a disagreement, and that landed us, like, we were talking about getting a divorce. And pretty serious. And my brother was informed because they were going to fly out for our celebration of our marriage in September, which we're not doing, but we're having it sometime next year. There was a lot of awareness, a lot of growth, right? We realized we were putting so much pressure on each other to do all these things in this short period of time. And when we all got very reactive, right? And so, he's got this new role. He's busy trying to do that. And then we're supposed to manage getting the house where it's supposed to be, meaning just in alignment with how it was listed on the MLS, like just that baseline, right? Like it was listed on the MLS having certain things, it doesn't have it. And now instead of the management company that leases a house to us having this be what we're supposed to be, I'm now managing getting the house in alignment with the listing, in addition to running my business, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that kind of puts context. So we're both in high stress mode. And we decide to call this off. And I let my brother know. And his response was, and I would say it's a reaction, was, you should be lucky, Jodi, to have a man who will be with you, given that you say that you talk to animals and you talk to Jesus Christ and that you can speak to the dead and that you can heal people. You should be lucky that he accepts you. And I thought about that and it was very hurtful. And I waited a while and I said, I don't judge you for not accessing your intuitive gifts. Why would you judge me for accessing mine? And like, I've never told him that he's a bad person for not accessing his divine right to God. It's his right. And so I say this because you can't, in my opinion, you really can't get more hurtful than that. He actually dug at the core of who I am, my spiritual being. And instead of lashing out and yelling at him or saying a mean text, I just asked him the question. I posed it. I'm like, well, why would you judge me for living by my highest values and loving and living with God? And I never judge you for not doing it. I just love you where you're at, And I think that it was a lesson for me that I am not everybody's cup of tea. I'm okay with that. I really am. Yeah, if obviously the people who are tuning in, obviously I'm your cup of tea, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be tuning in. But if you are with someone or exposed to someone, and I think this is going to pull into Vietta's comment here in a second, but if you've got somebody in your life who they don't have to like everything about you, but if they have to tell you about it all the time or make you wrong or dig at the very core of who you are, and the vibration is there, like the lack of acceptance, like you can feel it. I know you can. So this message is for you. I know someone's out here who needs to hear this. If you can feel someone's judgment and you guys can't talk it out and let it go and give it to God, walk away. Because the vibration, that low vibration frequency, is hurting your DNA. And there's proof to show that when you look at, Emoto, right? Who is ZDR? I hear you. Okay. I don't know what that is. Okay. But anyway, have the courage to walk away. Vieta said, I had a longtime friend get upset with me over a text. Totally baffled me for a while till I realized it was a season to let go of relationships that were no longer nourishing. Now, I'm not going to let go of my brother, but I'm going to let go of his judgment of me. Like, if he wants to judge me, go for it. Like, I'm not going to let someone like a family member. Who is ZDR? I'm wondering. I don't recognize the face. So, at all. Okay. Love to know who ZDR is. Then Naima says, religion programs people to actually believe God is inaccessible unless you have a doctorate of divinity from an accredited university. Wow, right? Jesus walked the earth. Jesus walked the earth to let men know that love was their divine right and that they could heal themselves and be healers, starting with themselves. Be a healer, he's saying. Be a healer. Start with yourself. Heal yourself first. That's what Jesus came here to say. He says, yeah, we have lots of stories in the Bible. He says, we have lots of stories in the Bible. He says, they were translated by man into the Bible. He says, some were interpreted properly and some were not interpreted properly. He said, but the bottom line is, you are a divine child of God, and you have the ability to heal yourself. That's the message. And that's what he's saying. Sorry, channel came in.
It's great. I mean, we are divine beings. And, as Jesus has said in the past, everything that he was able to do, we are able to do, because we're all divine beings of God. We have the divine feminine aspects and we have the divine masculine aspects. And that healing ourselves, as we heal ourselves, we heal the world. We don't even have to do. It's like we work on ourselves, we improve our lives, we set examples for others, our energy vibrations change, and we affect other people's energy simply by being. And I remember Jesus has said before, it's like we're so focused on doing, and that's a very masculine aspect, right? And then on the feminine side, it's like it's about being. So I remember one time, it's way back, I was like, oh, what do I do? I need to, what am I meant to do? And it's like, we're meant to be. If you ask a flower, what is your job? What are you supposed to do? The flower, its purpose, it's to be. It's to like be who it is. And then as other people look at it, they can appreciate its beauty, its fragrance, its light, And so I think that's exactly it. We have that ability to, with our own awareness of like, okay, this is an ideal for me in my life. I'd like to shift this. I would like to be here. I'd like to be this. And we work on being that and being whole and complete. And that's how we better our lives in the world.
We're having I think a infiltration on the show.
Yeah, seems like. However, it's like we can,
I put the user in a timeout. I just needed to figure out what was going on and channel, like I was getting very confused and the energy was really scary for me. So I want to clear energy real quick. Okay, there you go. All right, we're back. There were some really naughty things. You're not going to give it energy. All right. Chris is with us. She says, good morning. Chris Spatula. And I forget exactly what Chris's last name means. It's something of the light. Chris, would you remind me what your last name means, Dolly? It's something about the light. So she's a healer as well, and here to shed light, right? on our gifts and our ability to be self-healers, right? So I'm going to go to commercial because it's 9:30 and I need a pause. So there was a little funky energy that came through. So let me run that, and we've got a few comments. She says, that's so funny. She says, oh my gosh, it's not coming to me. I'll look it up. Because what does FEJZ mean? Zula is light, or the Zula was partly light, but it's FEJZ, and then the Ula is light. I can't remember what it is, but we'll figure it out. All right, we'll run to commercial real quick.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Cell Care with Jodi Suson. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Jana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, with...
So I have my other computer to my left where we're running the blog talk show. And I see we have a caller coming in from 312-833. So I'd like to take the caller and find out what your question is or your contribution. And we will go from there. And so, Jenn, please tell me that you confirm that you can hear this on your side. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So first, we're just going to test the audio. So, welcome to Self-Cell Care. This is Jodi, and who are we talking with?
Thank you. Way on Ya Shalom, Grand Rising, and Assalamu Alaikum to Naima Latif.
Who are we speaking with?
Robert Ford, Swamp in Chicago.
Robert. I'm sorry. Who?
Yes, I would just like to have.
Wait. Who is this? Can you hear him?
Very softly.
Very softly. So we can't hear you, and I'm not getting an answer to the question. Who am I speaking with?
Better now. My phone might be down. Can you hear me better now?
Can you hear him better now?
I can hear him.
Okay. And who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with Minister Robert Floyd Swamp in Chicago.
So thank you for being here.
My comment is on healing. Thank God for the female solution, and thank God for self healing, health or care. And healing equals to 23. Also, V equals to 23. So the divine healing is, as you said, Jodi, is within oneself. And the most important part is in your heart. In the word, in the scripture, somewhere it says, none but the pure in the heart is going to see God. However, it's your PMA that, which is your positive mental attitude, that does the healing within your own mind, and that becomes a self-care in a righteous way, that you have discovered the most important personality of living, and that is you. Within you, you have all of the divine power to heal any kind of situations or conditions within yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for, calling in. And then we have, it's interesting. Is it, and so are you complete, or because I'm going to move over? Do you have anything you want to say, Jen, or?
No, it's absolutely true that we do actually have that ability within ourselves to be the perfect divine being that we are. That, yeah, I agree.
Cool. We are getting some interesting comments on YouTube today, contributors who I've not seen before. And I'm just wondering, Naima, could you take a look and see if this also needs to be blocked? I would be grateful. Thank you. So
You might need a moment to like center yourself.
Yeah, I've been going into the trees energetically to center, but I'm getting hit on different sides. It's interesting. So, and what is that? So, we're just having some interesting. Do you see the comments there, Jen? Can you?
Yes, I think it could be cleared.
Like block it as well, because I don't know what this is either.
It's unrelated.
Yeah, put user in timeout. There we go. Oh, no, now I'm clear. Thank you. Man. So, it's interesting. We're also in a time of manifestation. When is the show going to start? So the show has started, and we're grateful for you being here. This is really weird today. So what is the lesson? So the lesson. Okay, so this is a lesson not only for me, but I'm hearing for the universe. So don't let people take you off track. Stay true to your mission, right? And I mean, just that simple. People will do it. Oh, got it. Okay, it's bigger than that. It's not just don't let people take you off your track. There's a huge message here today. People, I have a twin flame relationship. And since the day I met my husband, he was not my husband at the time, the dark side started coming in to distract us from our mission, cause discomfort, cause distractions, fights, all this stuff, right? And we were talking earlier about, Naima said about the male friend, right, who had a son who was told never to hit a girl. Y'all have to, what they're telling me to tell you is that you need to start looking at these interferences, and we need to look at them differently. See, Jesus works through us with the light. And when we are in a low vibration state, anger, grief, jealousy, any of that kind of low vibration, check the map of consciousness. You can take a look at that. The Map of Consciousness by David Hawkins. Okay. When we're in that is the entryway for the dark side to consume you, your soul, your physical body, your spiritual body. Okay. Which then allows them to work through you like Jesus would work with you, but they have a different agenda. So ask yourself, and I plan to do a video on this just to teach people. Well, ask yourself if this is your energy when bad things are happening, or are you having like a party, right? Is it you, a couple of entities, or is it you and God, or is it you and some other people? We'll call them souls. And if the answer is that there's other souls, make sure you're clear of that energy prior to making a decision. So these people, what's schismatism? It's just a distraction, right? So this person here, and I'm going to put it up here, right? This person here, this person is a distraction, right? They're trying to take me off my goal. So then if I'm off balance, like Jen's saying, I need to bring myself back into balance so that I can be with God and do my mission, right? So who in your life is allowing you, is having you tip to the side but not able to come back into balance? Ask yourself that. And then when you react to it, are you bringing in the divine feminine or divine masculine? And which one's serving you in which situation? Anything you want to add to that? I'm going to get rid of this person too. Bye-bye. So that's amazing. Yeah.
One thing that I would like to say to that is when that's where paying attention and being mindful of what's going on, having awareness of what's going on within ourselves is very important. You know, when I am in a low vibrational energy, for example, if I'm feeling sad and maybe like angry or grieving, depressed, you know, in those low vibrations, I'm vulnerable in those states. And yes, interference energies can come in, and so I have to pay attention to what I'm hearing and noticing, you know, in my own head. So divine guidance, you know, our higher self, you know, the messages that we get tend to be subtle, you know, and so if I'm hearing things that are negative, you know, I have to let that go, give it to God, you know, and it kind of goes also, we were talking about this last time about the thoughts that we have in our head. You know, we get like 50 to 70 thoughts in our head every single day. And about 60%, I mean, 60,000 of those, you know, 50, 60,000 of those thoughts are negative, actually.
Yeah, self-abuse.
You know, it is. And the majority of times it's actually the same thing that's repeating that we tell ourselves. And it's like, how many of those 70,000 thoughts that you have throughout your day do you even notice? Are we aware of those? Right?
Well, because they're so common, Dolly.
Yeah.
They are normal.
Because it's repeating. So if I'm like having the thought that, you know, oh, I am, as an example, like, I'm so fat or something like that, you know, like, I should eat less because, you know, oh my gosh, you know, I'm like so unhealthy. Or, these are things that I'm saying to myself, and I'm basically perpetuating and repeating these. And it affects ourselves. You were talking about emoto earlier, and the energy vibrations of words are so powerful, right? And within our heads, you know, whether they're our own, you know, our own lower aspect of self, our own ego self, or even if it's like an interference energy, you know, it's like, do I notice it? Am I paying attention to this, or am I dismissing it? It's like, no, I am choosing, and I need, you know, it takes 3 positive thoughts to like clear out a negative, at least. So it's like,
Oh, I didn't know that. So if you have a negative thought, you have to bring in 3 positive thoughts.
So if you have,
you're doing mantras, yeah.
So if we have, you know, 40 or 50,000 out of the 60, 70,000 that are negative, how many positives do you think we need to have in our life? You know, that's where it's like, if we start paying attention, you know, to the energies, then we can decide what to do with it. Do I want to let it go? Do I even want to pay attention? Well, what if I shift so that I don't even have those thoughts? Then that makes a difference, right? And we were talking about earlier that awareness is key to healing. If I don't know what's going on, how do I clear? If I don't know that I'm off balance, it's like am I going along my life in balance or out of balance?
So let me ask you a really important question. How can you guide someone to be more aware of how they show up, their feelings, their emotions? How can you support someone in retraining themselves to feel their feelings and be just the basics of feeling their feelings and being aware of their feelings? What does that look like?
Well, the first thing is recognizing and that we want change in our life. That's the first step, to notice that, okay, my life is less than the ideal I'd like it to be. Then that means that when I recognize, okay, I would like this is my ideal, my life is here, I like this to be my ideal, then that means something has to change. And I would have to choose that change. So that means I have to start paying attention. Okay, what is creating my life? What decisions, what choices am I making in my life that's creating my life the way it is? Right. So first we have to have that desire to shift, and the desire, and then to start to pay attention, to start to notice, and it's when we have that desire to change and we start looking for answers. I start reading, I start talking to people, I look for answers. Okay, I ask someone, oh, what did you do? Or I'm looking for solutions, such as the patch thing that you're talking about, various things, because then it's like I'm recognizing something is a little bit off. I'd like a shift, and I'm looking for answers. Right. However, if I don't pay attention, if I'm not doing an inventory, if I don't start looking at my thoughts, then how can I change? And I always...
But how do they know that that's different? I mean, because they know that they're not getting what they want. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's also about paying attention too, right? It's like, what's going on in your life? If life is going like...
I hold on a second. Can I pause you for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting a lot of feedback, and somehow the ZDR2 came back on, and we're going to ban them. And Simplicity 570 says, I'm moody because you're censoring chat. Jesus is about freedom, not censorship. Yes, it is about freedom. But I also have the freedom, right, to not receive negative information on my show. And so if you're going to be disrespectful and say nasty things, I am going to ban you, because I don't want that for the people in my world. Okay. So now you're banned. You heard that message. I'm banning you all. Okay. And so this is just a lesson. And Naima says she just blocked the weird guy on YouTube. Thank you. So if people are banning you and stopping you from talking, think about what's coming out of your mouth. Right? Is it something that somebody wants to receive? I mean, I think that's part of that self-awareness. It ties right back into that. If you're not getting what you want, right? And people are saying, go away, maybe you need to modify what you're saying and think about how it's being received by other people. Is it bringing them love, peace, joy, and happiness? Because that's what Jesus was about. And he did accept people who were ailing, but I don't actually, I'll just ask him. No, he doesn't want me to receive that. Okay, good. We're done now. Anyways, it's been a weird morning. I've never had this happen.
So I want to say that when we have gratitude, when we express gratitude, when we focus on appreciation, we can raise our vibrations.
All day.
Yes. So, we're talking about negative thoughts, emotions, things, words within our head, without, things that are coming to us. What can I appreciate? What am I thankful for? Right? And gratitude is so uplifting. It just gets you closer to the highest vibrations of love.
Well, I believe, and I've said this many times, that we can manifest anything we want with gratitude. And for people who couldn't see me, I was answering your questions, right? And you said, what are we grateful for? And I raised up Fagla. I'm like, I'm grateful for Fagla. And I pointed to you. I'm grateful for you. Grateful that you're here on the show. I'm grateful for Naima. I'm actually grateful for those people who were dive bombing the show. It just gave me a lesson to say no quick. It taught me. So thank you for showing up in my life so I can, be better and do better. Right? So like that. Anything you want to add? What are you grateful for?
Oh my gosh. So many things. I'm, of course, definitely thankful to be here on the show. And thankful that I get to talk about these things with you, talking about the divine, the feminine aspects, masculine aspects. It gives me a chance to also look at my own life, and even like the interference, it's like, okay, like I can have gratitude that I made aware of there's interferences that come in and what I can do about it. I can put energy in it, or I can simply like ignore it, or give it to the divine.
Yeah.
Right? Or, so they're grateful for the people who are on the show and watching and sharing their comments, asking their questions. And that's just like in this right now. Right. And what else are we grateful for in our life? Not just, sometimes, I ask people and it's like nothing. I get the answer. It's like,
you got an answer of nothing?
Yeah. There's sometimes people are like, gee, I don't know. There's nothing. It was kind of a lousy day. There wasn't anything good. And it's like, wait, let's see. Let's take a moment. There must be something. Like, for example, do you prefer sunny days or rainy days? And it's like, oh, I like sunny days. Well, was it sunny today? And it's like, yeah, yeah. So it's like, was it nice? Did you enjoy that it was a nice? So we could start with little things, because sometimes that's easier than examining ourselves, right? And
I think people do struggle with examining themselves.
Yeah.
And I understand. I think it's painful. And in the same breath, I'll just be honest, I don't understand. Because I was trained as a child to examine myself. I mean, I was in counseling at age of 11. So it's always been understand who I am, how I'm showing up. I mean, so what I ask other people to do, I've been training myself to do that since I was a kid. So, angry spinster chat. This is comical. You guys are hilarious. So I just want to send you guys love and grace. Really, because now it's just a joke. It's funny. I mean, so I mean, it's funny. They should get their own show, and they should just do that. We got more people, doing their thing. But when I talk about gratitude, oh, we have a caller. Why don't I just want me to take a quick call and see who's there and has a question?
It's your show.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, so 773-52 or 530. We're going to bring you on air. Hold on. All right. So welcome to the Female Solution Self-Care. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, yes, this is AMG Peace God, Judge Pew Bay of the United States of America Republic, located here in New Mecca, Chicago, province of Illinois. Just calling in when you spoke on gratefulness. Just wanted to thank and be grateful for the Female Solution. Because you ladies, you queens, you bring so many solutions. And, the show was very deep and profound. I'm just blessed to be able to. Thank you.
So thank you back. Really, thank you. We're grateful to have you. When people can spend their time anywhere they want, right? I am beyond grateful that you choose us. Really, I'm just beyond grateful that you choose us.
I start my day off with you when I can, and every time I can, I like to listen holistically. And one word I was waiting to hear was balance. And when I heard it, I said, okay, there's no need for me to jump on with the profoundness, in the divine masculinity and the divine femininity. I said, okay, they spoke it. And it's about choosing and having that awareness of balance, when to bring feminine energy to certain situations and when to have that masculine overtone and assertiveness to things. So, I just love listening in and love hearing the affirmation and verification and confirmation of things that the Most High is having me to be aware of with myself as I continue to grow to my higher self. So I'm one of many to be grateful and thankful for the jewel of the Female Solution. So I just encourage you ladies to keep doing and keep up the great godly work that you women are doing.
Well, we'll go by guys too. I am so not offended. Like, I'm like girls, guys, call me what you want. I'll still show up.
Let's thank God that, we can't come here without coming through, you beautiful women. So, that's just a fact of the matter. So, once again, having that balance. And once again, I'm one of many to just be thankful and grateful for the Female Solution.
Well, thank you for that. It's interesting. You said you can't come to Earth unless you come through us as women. And I often forget that because, I didn't have children. I saw a movie at the age of 14 about how babies were born, and I just said no. Yeah. I said no. No, thank you.
90 seconds.
Praise God for the Female Solution.
Well, thank you for you. We're very grateful to you. Bless you. Jenn, would you like to lead a blessing for everyone for the day so they can lead their day? I'm going to close your mic, okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Jenn, to end the show, would you like to lead a prayer to help everybody lead their day?
Well, let me see. May we all be blessed with the love of the divine. May we all be blessed with gratitude in our hearts. May we all be blessed with peace and joy and reverence for ourselves and all others. Amen, amen, amen. So be it, so be it, so be it. And so it is.
It is. Thank you. And I will add one thing to that.
10 seconds.
If you can't change it, laugh at it. Right? Have some levity today, everybody. Have some joy. Have some joy. We all love you. We're thankful for you all being here. And God bless. All right. So I'm going to end the show on the blog talk. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye. And if you didn't catch the whole show, you can download it later on any of the platforms. And that.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.
Spinster Cope, you are funny. He's funny. All right. And, the one thing we didn't do is, Jenn, can you put in how people can get in touch with you, your website for me, please?
Yes. So you can reach me at weavinglux.com. That's my current website right now. And it has like my upcoming events going on. I'm doing group healings. I'm excited about doing some group healings coming up soon. The first one being Healing Blocks to Love. So I'd be happy if you join me. And thank you for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And all of Jenn's information is actually in the thread. Like, so when you look at YouTube or Facebook or any of the other platforms, all of her contact information is always in that, on that show. So, all right. Thank you so very much, everybody. God bless and have a great day. And let me just do that.